Hi, it's Dr. C, and today we will be going over some step-by-step solutions for this word problem. So first things first, it says that suppose that the distance of fly balls hit to the outfield is normally distributed with a mean of 250 and standard deviation of 50 feet. We randomly sample 64 fly balls, find the 70th percentile of the distribution of the average of 49 fly balls. So I did have a question, and I can rework this out if needed, if this 49 is supposed to be here or if it's out of 64. Because that's two different formulas. And based on how, looking up this question, it may have needed to say 64 as opposed to 49. But either way. So first things first, we write out the relevant formulas and we're doing z-score. And we know this because we're essentially looking for, they said normally distributed. Another thing that's relevant is mean of 250, standard deviation of 50, and sample of 64. And then we're finding the 70th percentile. Okay, so these are the relevant items that we're looking for. So that's step one, is to write out your given. So we have the population mean of 250, population standard deviation of 50, and the sample size is 64. So the next thing I always recommend is to draw it out. And here we essentially have two parts. So whenever we look up a z-score, we're always given the area to the left. Always given the area to the left. So we're going to draw it in, and we're going to put a lovely G right here. So based on what we're looking for, it didn't say anything about upper 70th percentile. It just says 70th percentile, which leads us, and this should be 7, which leads us to look at still the left side. So we're just looking at the 70th percentile here. So we're going to shade it in, and we're going to put it in for what's needed. Okay, so we know the game plan. Essentially, when we work everything out, we're going to recognize that part. So next part is to calculate the 80th percentile to figure out what that is. So if you can use various platforms for this, but I always recommend Excel. If you have a TI-84, you can do that as well. So the way you would do that, you would do norm.s.inv and then put 0.7 here for the probability, and it gives us a z-score of 0.52. Okay. So we would use 0.52 as our z-score. Now that we've done that, we're going to calculate our actual score of what's needed. Again, let's remind of the actual formula and fill up everything that we have. So according to our givens, we now have the z-score of 0.52. We have the sample population of 250. We have the the population standard deviation at 50. And then we have a sample size of 64. So when we calculate that, I always recommend doing the standard error first and calculating. So we would do 50 divided by the square root of 64. That gives us 6.25. So now we have 0.52 equals x minus 250 divided by 6.25. You keep going, and you essentially get x by itself. And when you get x by itself, it gives you x equals 253.25. So at this point, this is your answer. We're going to square it because we're done. So I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you have additional questions, please reach out.